Let's talk about Unix permissions. Now, traditional Unix permissions are a set of three where we are talking about the user, group, and world scenario. What that means is we've got our permissions here. So let's just take a look at this. We're going to ignore the first one on the far left. So right here, we've got user is these three permissions right here, the very first three on the left-hand side. Following that are a set of three permissions for group, and then finally world is on the right-hand side of this selection here. The way we do that is we have read, write, and execute for each of them. So for the user, we have read, write, execute, and for group, we have read, write, execute, and world, read, write, execute, and so on. Now, these permissions carry numeric values because that's how they are stored. The read permission would be a 4, write would be a 2, and then execute would be a 1. If I wanted to change permissions, let's say I wanted to give read, write, execute to everybody across the board, I would say use the utility chmod, and then I would say 777, which would be 4 plus 2 plus 1 for all of them. And then we could say server.key is the one that we were looking at. So now if I say ls-la server.key, we should see read, write, execute on all of the different ones here. So sure enough, we've got read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. Now, if I wanted to, say, leave read and write for my user and then have nothing for anybody else, I would say chmod 600 server.key. And now if I look at that again, sure enough, I get read write on my user and then nothing anywhere else. And so I can do 622. So that would be read write for me and write for the others. If I wanted to do read write for me and then read for the others, it would be 644. That's what we've got there. I can do a couple of other things. So I could say group plus write here. So I'm going to give write permissions to the group, and I'm going to say server.key, and now we'll get a listing on it. And we have added write permissions to the group there. So if I want to drop write permissions for the group, I can say g-w, and then I have dropped write permissions. Permissions tell me who can do what. So the user in this particular case, which is me, can read and write the file. Anybody who is part of the group that owns this file, and you can see that in the second column right here, the first column being the user, and the second column in terms of user group being that one right there. So anybody who is part of that group would have write permissions. Anybody who was not either the user or part of the group becomes the world or everybody else, and they're going to have read permissions in this particular case. So Unix permissions are fairly simple. It does take a little bit of work to kind of figure out how you're going to manage these permissions given sort of the limited range that you can provide to people. I can either give you read, write, or execute permissions, some combination of those, and you can either be the owner of the file or you can be the group, or I have to give everybody that same set of permissions, which means you may have people in lots of different groups just to give them the right permissions so that they can get to files and make changes to them when they need to do that.